Yo, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. We're mashing it up. We're talking Panthers from the fan perspective. I'm here with my homeboys from left to right. I have no idea how it looks on your screen, but on mine it starts with that freaking Puerto Rican, Joe Riolano. What's up, my brother?
My man, Tony. It is Tuesday night. It is time to talk some Carolina Panthers football. I'm ready. This is the best night of the week. And actually in the middle of my screen is our very good friend and to a certain degree, our mentor, Mr. Mel Maya. How are you tonight?
Hey, mentor. All right. Hey, it's like you said, man, it's my favorite of the week. Tuesday night, man. We're talking Panthers. I think we're the only podcast, at least one that I know of, that talk Panthers 52 weeks a year. It's pretty cool.
I would like to point out that and I think I went off a little bit last week about this, about how I was a little upset with Matt from Carolina or Charlotte about not giving our podcast more love. But I just got this nifty iPad mini. I might ice up myself for using an Apple product later. But one of the cool things I got to do was set up a new iTunes account. And guess what I checked out? I Googled, or I didn't Google.
iTunes.
iTunes. I Siri'd the C. Actually, I didn't put in the C3 podcast. I just went to podcasts on iTunes and typed in Carolina Panthers. Guess what? The #1 Carolina Panthers podcast is the C3 podcast.
It would really suck if you said another one.
Yeah, that would. But what doesn't? It is ours, and take that. I would like to know why Scott Karasik wrote a review on iTunes about us. I'm pretty sure it was him. Okay, we also have repeat offender Trip Morgan. This time he said he's going to stick around.
Yeah, I'm going to hang out this time.
You're going to spend more of the show with us in 10 seconds like last week?
Yeah. It's early April Fools.
There you go.
Very good. It was a good one.
Trip, tell them how they can find you on Twitter.
You can just follow me at TripMorgan6, TRIPPMORGAN 6, and I'll be putting all my C3 articles and stuff up there, retweeting and all that stuff. Follow us.
Word up. You can follow the show at cat_chronicles. You can tweet us using the hashtag C3. If you're on your iPad, why don't you go to that podcast thing later and subscribe and write a review, and even tell Scott Karasik to get out of our dang review list. We would appreciate it. And if you're listening on other devices, subscribe, give us a share. We want to continue to grow Panther Nation, even in the quietest time of the season. And that brings us to tonight's show, guys. Tonight's show, I think I put, was episode 16.8, Love the Waiting Game. And while we're working hard on the draft guide at the expense of talking aimless stuff on the internet and about making these lists of like top 5 coolest things related to the Panthers to keep everybody busy, we've been slaving over a draft guide and working on a big project we're going to release in a couple of weeks. But the love part, because none of us love the waiting game, is the love part is a reference to the re-signing of defensive tackle, right? Defensive tackle?
Yeah, that's right.
What's his first name? Come on, help me out, guys.
Kevin Love.
Kevin Love.
And Kevin?
It's Kyle.
It's Kyle. Yeah, Kyle.
I love the basketball.
Yeah. Kyle.
I thought I had This makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Who is this Kevin Love,
Makes
Kyle
no
Love?
sense.
We don't know. Nah, we don't love the waiting game. Tonight, though, we are going to be talking to the Carolina Panthers.
We
We'll be
don't.
looking around the league. We are anxiously awaiting the draft and preparing for it, really, and trying to
Time of the
create
year.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's the worst time of the year for me. Mel loves it. And tell him why we call you Mel Mayock.
Well, it's because, you know, I've been Mel Mayock my whole life, and Mel Kiper and Mike Mayock actually copied my names when they got into the industry. So it's just kind of a blend of those two names.
Okay, we did a mashup, or they did a mashup.
They did
all
a
right.
match.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump in tonight's show. We're going to talk about, we'll look at some stuff. We'll talk about the draft. We'll talk about more. Unfortunately, we will talk about Greg Hardy tonight. We'll talk about Josh Norman. Some fun things, but really a quiet time with the Carolina Panthers. But, you know, that's the best time for us to cut up. So let's just go ahead and jump into what's hot on C3.
Austria. Good day, mate. Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
No, I'm just getting warmed up. Here's Charlie facing the fire, and there's George hiding in Big Daddy's pocket.
Dylan and Dylan, because I spit hot fire.
Take a flamethrower to this place.
What's hot on C3? I'm going to tell you what's hot is this Hop-Notch IPA I'm drinking out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I found it on $7.99 for a 6-pack.
All right, now the funny thing about that, Professor, I go to Salt Lake City quite often. That is the most non-drinking, dry town that you can imagine.
Get out
Really?
of here.
Oh my
Well, this
goodness.
is interesting, Joey. For the non-drinkers, 7.3% alcohol.
Oh, that'll make you feel
Yeah.
right.
You would think as salty as that place is, they'd be thirsty.
Well, you know, they're kind of like, you know, in and around the Carolinas. They ain't,
Yeah.
You bump into them in the liquor store, they gonna act like they don't know you, right? You know, it's kind of on the down low, you know.
No.
Unlike the professor who will get drunk and then go on the internet.
Yeah, you're Catholic, man. You're like, what's up?
Okay.
What number of top notch is that for you?
Say that again?
What number of top notch is that?
What do you mean, like, how would I rate it?
Well, no, I mean like
How many you have?
How many have you drank?
number 4.
Oh, this is my first one of this heavy beer. I was drinking before a tap room number 21. That was 5.3%. And my third beer, I usually do 3 beers per show. And my third beer is a New Belgium rye PA. I'm on a pale ale kick tonight.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nice. There you go.
Okay. Well,
Back
what'd
to
you say?
football.
You hated that? You hate these, Joe?
I'm not a big rye beer fan.
Okay. Well, you may hate rye beer, but the Panthers love Kyle Love, and we bring back another defensive tackle. Probably what this signals to us is that we've got our 4 guys that we're going to run up the middle. It's going to be the star K1 Short show and starters with
Solii and Love.
Solii and Love in the rotation.
Yep.
Dro, do you think that this is enough up the middle for what we need, and now this means we're all looking to the outside from here?
Well, I think this puts us in a good position. It's not to say that we won't add another guy to the draft, but, you know, depending on who gets drafted where, if we don't bring in another guy through the draft, it's not going to be gloom and doom. 4 people to play 2 positions is a pretty good rotation. And, we've got big body. These are all big body guys. It's not like we're sticking, smaller people in this place out of necessity. I think we're going to be okay with these four, but that doesn't mean we won't add another one through the draft, depending on who falls where.
Tripp, tell us what you think about what Dave Gettleman's doing here on the defensive line by adding this depth up the middle. How is he preparing for this season?
I think he's doing it in the way he does. He loves to do it. No pun intended. He's a defensive. He's a defensive hog molly guy, and he said it from the get go. Kyle Love, he was a deep rotation last year with us. Came up, but he get some big sacks. I think he had 3 total on the year. But it's like Joey was saying, he's a big body inside. You keep adding those guys behind K1, Star, let them get up there and eat the run, and let our linebackers do the best work that they do that they're known for with Luke and TD. And then you got Shaq Thompson coming in there too. But a couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I think I was on the phone with you, Tony, and we were talking about, this was before we even released Charles Johnson. I was saying, well, DG's got to go for a guy in the draft, a defensive lineman early with everybody. It seemed we were going to be losing, and now all of a sudden it's like, here we go again. You don't know where he's going to go. You never really know where he's going to go. But now we've got the depth back, and they're still saying we might not be done in free agency on the defensive line. So, it's classic DG.
Yeah, I like this. I think we, like Joey said, we're positioning ourselves, Mel, to be in good shape, better shape than we're giving ourselves potentially credit for. Charles Johnson coming back, Coney Ely starting to come into form, it looks like. And then you've got Mario Addison, who's still around. You still have, and you have somebody that I think a lot of fans are kind of excited about because they saw flashes of him actually playing pretty hard, and that's Ryan Dallaire. Is the pass rush, could it be a secret strength of ours, Mel, coming into this season?
Well, going back to what you asked, Tripp there, I think what DG's doing is setting up the draft so that he doesn't have to reach for any one position.
Exactly.
Right? So you got enough
DG.
players. You got enough skill there to where you don't have any glaring needs where you got to take somebody that's lower rated just because of need. So kudos to that. However, I'm not convinced that we're all that set on the edges. I think we are pretty much set on the interior line. But let's face it, Charles Johnson is past his prime. And if you've only got Coney Ely and Mario Addison, that's not elite, right? That's okay. That's pretty good, but it's not where we need to be. So I would not be surprised at all if take a Kevin Bay like that out of Clemson if he's there. But to your point on other podcasts, Professor, which is a great one, it takes time for defensive ends to blossom in this league. They're not going to really, unless they're Julius Peppers, elite type of player, they're not gonna dominate year one. So if there's a free agent out there to get trade for, awesome. But otherwise, look for him to invest in somebody like a Kevin Dodd if he's there, and invest a year or two in him.
Okay, well, the conversation is flowing on Twitter, and this goes out to Lynn.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? Want money? What kind of terrorist are you? To the party, pal.
Welcome to the party, pal. Lynn and the C3 Girl Gang are on Twitter, as well as we got a cool question to start the show, and I had not, this wasn't in the early lineup, but we're going to change gears here. Aaron Alexander, hashtag C3, you can follow Aaron at @Alexander2014. He asks on Twitter, who will finish second in the NFC South? I'll open that up to.
Good question.
I love this, Joey. Show him your shirt. Joey is wearing the C3 Pete shirt that we printed before training camp even started last year because we were confident that the Panthers were going to three-peat. I don't know if the four-peat shirt has as good of ring to it.
Foursome.
Oh. Are you a swinger? Are you a swinger? Get in this Carolina foursome.
We're talking about putting Tripp in charge of marketing. Yeah, you know, that's
reserve your Sunday foursome tea time. Okay, Joey. I like this because it goes ahead and presupposes that the Panthers win the division. Who comes in second, Joey?
I'm going to go out on something of a limb and say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
Wow.
finished second. I think they have improved significantly on their roster. Okay, now that may not translate to the field, but just looking at the roster, they're a much better team. And Jameis Winston has 1 year of football under his belt now, 1 year of pro football. So I think we will see some progress from him as well. So I think Tampa Bay comes in second in the NFC South this season.
Tripp, who's your number two?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Joey. I still think they were the second best team in the NFC South last year at the end of the season. Jameis is an up and comer. They've got the offensive weapons around them to beat out the rest of the division over there, and they've just picked up some big free agents for the defense too. And they've done that in the past, and defense looked great on paper. Had a great defensive coach, and it not translate. But if you're going by rosters right now and off-season moves, I think you have to stay Tampa Bay.
Are you gonna make it a consensus, Mel? I'm gonna wreck this party.
Yeah, no, I'm wrecking it. I'm gonna take the ultimate deuce to drop as number two, and that is the Atlanta Falcons. They're the ultimate deuce in terms of dropping it. But I really don't. I really don't like those guys. I hate them.
Somebody turn on the exhaust fan. Mel's taking a deuce over there in Atlanta. Yeah. Why do you think it's the Falcons? Because Legacy Lines, aka Lan, is going Panthers, Bucks, Falcons, Saints. She's with Joe and Tripp.
Yeah. Well, you know, the Falcons, man, they are an up-and-comer, but how many times, Joe, have the Falcons been the off-season winner, the free agency winner? They signed Darrelle Revis. You know, they signed all these guys. But to your point,
you mean the Bucks?
Yeah, the Bucks. Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Bucks. Yeah. How many times have they the all-season winner only to go out and suck? But Jameis Winston is on the upswing. I'll give them that. So they're a team on the rise. But I would say,
I'm sorry.
I
was going to say
I would say
that.
everything being equal.
Both of you gonna say.
Go ahead, Joe.
Both of you gonna say.
I defer to Joe. He's a freaking Puerto Rican. Go ahead, bud.
Okay, I was going to say that, yes, Jameis Winston is on the upswing, and yes, they had some big offseason signings. But in my opinion, the biggest move they made this offseason was re-signing
the muscle hamster.
I think they had to re-sign him because what he gives Winston a solid run game that defenses have to respect, and that way they can't just go, balls out.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but I think all things being equal, assuming everybody stays healthy on all four teams, the Panthers are literally the most talented team in the division.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the Atlanta Falcons are clearly the second most talented team.
Offensively, I would agree with you. I would agree with you if we were talking just about offenses.
I still don't think Matt Ryan's
no, that's a good
enough.
point.
So they got all right. So this is what their off season has looked like. They re-signed Doug Martin and Chris Conte. I like Chris Conte as a player. I think he's a tough, gritty guy.
He took
They
a dirty shot on a Panther years past, so I've never given up on that.
Logan Mankins retired, who was in a trade, right? With
Yeah,
didn't he
from
come
New
from
England.
New England?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Patriots, yeah.
That hurts.
And with J.R. Sweezy. So did J.R. Sweezy retire?
He came from
Or did they get
Seattle.
him?
Seattle.
Oh, they
Yeah.
replaced him. They replaced
Yeah.
him. That's it.
Yeah.
He's a young guy.
He's an NC State guy.
Oh,
Okay.
really?
So,
Sweezy, Gesundheit. Brent Grimes. They added Brent Grimes, Josh Robinson, and is that
And the
it?
guy from
Is
New
there
York,
anybody else that's in?
No, they added
Plus defense.
a defensive end from New York.
well, they got
Ayers.
Yep.
Ayers. That's right.
That's the
Robert
one I
Ayers.
want.
Yeah. But you know what? He's older than I expected.
Plus, they have
like
You're going to get a good draft pick, aren't they? They're picking like in the top 12, is it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
And you could say this is they've got first of all they got Mike Evans who had a down year and still is a beast. Who's that
Vincent
tight
Jackson,
end?
and then Seraphin Jenkins.
Yeah, Austin.
Yeah, Austin Seneferian Jenkins.
You got
how high?
Vincent Jackson coming back.
Mm-hmm. And remember,
But he's
they have
old.
Lewis
He's old.
Murphy too, former Panther.
Yeah, he was in a Cam Newton.
A lot of people are talking about RJ's a swinging door. JP. What do you call JP again? The priest.
the
Pope. The Pope. And I think someone else said that they're following our blueprint. That's Abby. But Lynn reminds us they have a handicap, and that's Miss Grimes.
Yeah,
Miss Grimes.
Yeah, actually,
He is a loose freaking.
but Mr.
Jesus,
crazy.
Grimes is pretty good.
Okay. I'm kind of with Mel on this. Is I think Atlanta pulls into second. I think that their offensive line showed signs of improvement last year. They did have, and we're forgetting Devontae Freeman scored like 14 touchdowns in like the first 5 games of the season.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
And I don't know if they can commit to that. But here's the thing. I think they still have problems at tight end. Or no, I don't think that's been solved yet. And Matty Ice could be broke. If Matty Ice doesn't have a good season this year, is that you could be seeing the end of his tenure. Interestingly. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pressure. I think, you know what, is that I think it'll be close between those two teams, and you'll see who wins the matchup between the two, and that probably will determine it. But interesting question. Who follows second? Thanks for that. And you can, like I said, you can follow, hold on, I just lost it, and I have a short-term memory. Aaron Alexander.
2014, I think.
There you go, Aaron Alexander. Thank you for that question.
Yeah.
I want to move on to something else, and that is, I believe I've got the tweet here. Jonathan Norman. I was thinking of Jonathan. I was thinking about Jonathan Jones and how I didn't feel bad about him when Carolina lost last night. Feel bad for him. Josh Norman, who is the continued saga of Josh Norman, is intensifying. It seems like Josh Norman is the one that's making it a bigger deal than anybody at times. He's upset right now that Bucky Brooks doesn't think he's better. Someone tweeted him a list of the top 5 corners that Bucky Brooks put out today, and he was rated number 4. And he said, "I'm not about to waste my time nor breath responding to these characters and dumb reports. Like, who even deemed these reporters worthy, or even putting ink to a piece of paper? Shaking What does SMDH stand for?
Shaking my damn
Shaking
head.
my damn head.
All right. First of all, my students laughed.
Street cred.
Don't worry, I lost my street
got that
cred a
street
long
cred.
time ago. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you this is that I thought till about 4 days ago that SMH meant schmuh. Like meh, you know, like.
And you call me on. You call me on. Yeah.
My students laughed at me and you know what? I think I like it. I think schmuh is better than shaking my head. But
Oh my god.
all right. So Josh Norman is upset that he's been put behind, and let me think if I can remember. Number 1 was Richard Sherman. Number 2 was Darrelle Revis, and number 3 was Arizona. Help me out.
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson. How can he be upset? To be honest, at this point, how can he be upset to be behind those names? Does anybody really think he's better than those dudes?
No.
But I like the fact that he thinks he's better because he's gonna keep fighting to try to prove that.
Ah, good point. And let me point out, Bucky Brooks is no simple journalist that has no street cred himself. Do you know where he used to work?
Yes, and Darren Gant put it out there, and that is that he used to be a scout for the Carolina Panthers.
Absolutely, and a darn good one, too.
Except for he is kind of a Carolina Panthers hater these days. Not in this case, but if you notice, he doesn't really talk great about the Panthers overall. Not that I need him to talk great just to talk great, but we did go to the Super Bowl last year.
He is a knowledgeable dude, though. I'll give you that. He's better than most.
Okay. What's going on with Josh Norman? Is this all him continuing to trying to focus attention on his name to keep his price elevated, or is this him really upset? Is he upset with oh my gosh. You would not. I'm about to retweet something on Twitter, guys. Please. It is ridiculous. But go ahead. Sorry. What is Josh Norman doing?
I think you know unless you talk to Josh Norman. My best guess is he's somebody that likes to psych himself up, and he likes to think, like Tripp said, he is the best in the business, and he's not going to accept anything less, and just work himself into a lather, much like Steve Smith used to do. You know, so yeah, I kind of appreciate that, but at the same time, when it comes to contract negotiations, yeah, ice up, son. You know, he's not going to get $16 million, not from us anyway.
Yeah.
All right, what is he doing, Tripp?
I think he's really just keeping a chip on his shoulder. This has been Josh Norman from the get-go. This guy came from Coastal Carolina, fought his way to a NFL roster, and he's fought his way to where he's at now. No, he's not better than those other guys. And why this $16 million asking fee is such a shock in the last month is beyond me. We all knew he was asking top cornerback money. These reports just blew my mind. Everybody freaking out. We knew this already, but no, he's not going to get that. Nobody's going to pay him that, I don't think. But I think he signs his tender, he plays another contract year, and tries to show out again and get paid. And if that's the case, I don't think he comes back.
I can't stop laughing, Joey, because on Twitter right now, at the perfect time, I'm asking the question about Josh Norman, and this GIF comes up, and it just says, just joshing off, and wait until you see it. Wait until you see it, but that is what I think he's doing, just joshing off.
Oh my God.
Joey, what is this guy? They made a GIF out of this dude shaking his bat, but it's like right where what his. Oh, it's so funny. I can't control myself right now.
It's Toronto. It's a Toronto player.
Yeah, is Josh Norman just joshing off? That is my question.
That must be an.
I'm crying here, dude.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh gosh, I'm so simple. I'm so simple. Okay, tell us what Josh Norman is thinking, because Lynn said she's wearing him. He's wearing him thin. Her thin. Sorry. By the way, don't look at Lynn's daughter, because she is gorgeous. Sorry. Again, 7.3.
He's been drinking, so forgive him. He's going to finish the podcast and go and Josh off.
Oh, T-Law.
All right.
Wow.
This is getting bad.
Oh,
Here we go. Josh Norman. All right. I don't know what he's thinking, but I know what the Panthers are thinking. He wants $16 million. They're going to pay him $13.9 or whatever it is this year. They're going to franchise tag him again next year, pay him that much money, and then the third year is going to come around. He's going to be 30 years old. He's still not going to get that big deal, because nobody's going to want to pay a 30-year-old corner big money. So in the end, he's only hurting himself. The Panthers are too smart. They'll pay him big for 2 seasons and then let him go after he turns 30 and draft his replacement in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, and I think
he's only hurting himself.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's just go ahead and say we're going to move on to the next segment before we make any more fools of ourselves. Yeah. And I've got to stop looking at Twitter. Yeah. But I wanted to introduce a new segment, because I was thinking about how long, what do we talk about in a period that really there is very little to talk about. And I think we try to dig down and find something. I mean, we can talk about draft picks and things like that, but we got a big draft special coming up. We're gonna beat that horse plenty. And that's probably not the best analogy using we can talk about. But the next segment is what they were reporting and what we were saying a year ago. And I just thought this would be fun to go back and see what we were talking about 1 year ago at this time. So I went and looked at what the media was saying about Carolina in this exact week, the first week of April. And the number one story was Cam Newton playing bubble soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so last year Cam Newton put himself in a bubble and went and blew kids up. And everybody was worried about his health. And then my man went on and became the MVP of the league. So, should Cam Newton simply just play bubble soccer this week to ensure that he will be the MVP? Joey, go.
Yes. He should go and play bubble soccer. Just to ensure that he will be MVP.
Deep thoughts by Delano.
I was at the Stingrays hockey game. The Stingrays is a local hockey team here. They're East Coast Hockey League, so I guess they're kind of like the minor leagues of hockey. But the game we went to Saturday night, they did the bubble. They had 4 people competing 2-on-2 soccer in the rink, in shoes with those bubble things on. And it was pretty funny. And when I saw it, I thought of Cam Newton from the video where he was backyard bowling with those bubble suits.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that you talk about this, but yes, he should. If that's what it takes for him to play up to MVP level, I'll go buy him the bubbles.
No, you won't. Not if you saw how much them mugs cost.
Are they that expensive?
They're like $800, dude.
Oh my God! Never mind. He can afford them.
Mel, would you play bubble soccer with Cam Newton?
Whew, that dude is 6'6", 250. But you know what? That's a bucket list item, man. To be able to do something like that with a megastar for the Panthers, yeah, I'd do it. I'd get killed. It'd be fun.
Mhm.
No, I think the bottom line on that is let Cam Newton be Cam Newton. You cannot put our guy in a box, right? I mean, he's not going to be.
You can't, but you can put him in a bubble.
Perfect. You are in charge of marketing, Trip. You cannot put him in a box. You can put him in a bubble. But he is not going to be the Mr. Perfect answer, the guy that doesn't pout after a loss, the guy that does what you want him to do all the time. But he's a good dude that just loves to have fun and enjoys life. You know what? And I say go out there and be a bubble boy.
Go be a bubble boy. Trip at my workplace, they bought I think like 12 of those.
Really?
For intramural play.
What?
And so I was thinking
I need to sign up.
Teachers versus students. And imagine how fun it would be able to blow up some student in the bubble soccer game.
I'm sure they're thinking the same thing about you, Tony.
And yeah, but I will say this is that maybe we should start like a circus game or a fair game where you actually got to get tackled by an NFL defensive lineman, but you got to wear the bubble to see what it feels like.
It wouldn't feel the same then, would it?
No, you're right. It wouldn't.
I'm just saying, I would bust Cam Newton's ass.
Yeah.
Shots fired.
How many IPAs have you had there?
Joe, people are ready to chip in to get in the bubble.
Yeah.
Go fund me.
Trip, what?
Okay.
Trip, what are you, like 5'9", 160?
Hey, that's close, Joe.
Yeah.
You skinny.
250?
I'm 175.
I hate y'all. I feel so fat. Okay. The last year at this time, guys, they were reporting this. The National Football. This was report, I believe. Where did I get this from? I don't know where I pulled it from. The National Football League has reached an agreement with the Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office in North Carolina to view 7 photographs of a woman former Carolina Panthers Greg Hardy was charged with assaulting in May 2014. This should expedite the league's decision on whether Hardy, who has been sidelined on the commissioner's exempt list, can suit up for the Dallas Cowboys next season. But what does it say about the league finally taking domestic abuse seriously? Joey, still, this was a year after the incident, which makes sense, though, because the court case was still ongoing. But guess who has popped up into the news again just as of today, I believe?
Greg Hardy.
Yes. So they were reporting on him last year, and guess what? They're still reporting him on it 1 year later, and it's the same damn story. Joey, today he proclaimed himself an innocent man to Adam Schefter. Does this surprise you that this has been an ongoing story for 3 years now?
It does kind of surprise me because, you know, he's done his time. It just, I guess because the questions have never really been answered, they won't go away. And by him proclaiming himself an innocent man, he's not doing himself any favors whatsoever. I think he admitted that something did happen, if I remember the interview, but he wouldn't get specific as to what happened. And he was directly asked by Schefter, said, do you hit women? And he flat out said, no, he does not.
I only shoved them into a pile of guns.
Did y'all see Steve Smith's comment on that?
I did. Can you remind us of what he said?
He said, oh, I guess she tripped.
Well, I guess we shouldn't probably laugh at that, but
What really pisses me off about that whole thing is the Panthers had to pay him $13 million for a
Yes.
season he only played one game in, and we never got any sort of recompense. I'm not saying we should get all $13 million back. I'm not saying we should get a draft pick. We should get something, though. I mean, what I'm trying to say here. Carolina was penalized, I think, for something that they had absolutely no control over. It would have been one thing if he'd have been suspended without pay. It makes sense to me. But to keep him from playing, not suspend him, and continue to make us pay him, we got screwed, man.
Hey, here's the poll question of the night. Do you think Greg Hardy played in the NFL in 2016?
Yes.
What is Joey doing? Are you joshing off,
Are
Joey?
you joshing off?
Scratch his
How is it this bad? Like, how can he not just shut the up? I mean, really, his agent, in fact, Lynn says this on Twitter, his agent should be fired. His agent is Drew Rosenhaus.
The best one.
Right? Yeah, supposedly.
Yeah.
How can anybody let him go and do... You know what? I don't even want to give him the time on the show. I just thought, man...
Yeah.
Well, what's the old saying? How's the old saying go? You can't fix stupid.
Nope.
I think it's that simple.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Go and check the reviews on iTunes, and you'll see one stupid one by an Atlanta Falcons fan who claims himself to be the all-knowing, knowledgeable man of football. Okay, so that's what they were saying a year ago. And then I wanted to say, what were we saying today last year? And I believe the professor wrote this, quote, Now I can overlook a lot, especially when it comes to someone I adore, or when it involves someone I adore. But Uggs are pushing the limit of tolerance. We're talking about the girl shoes now that the girliest of all Panther Nation most hated people wears. And that was a reference to I hate Uggs, and we're talking about the shoes that are embraced by Tom Brady, and Cam Newton was spotted in an airport wearing Uggs. So while they're talking about Cam Newton playing bubble soccer and Greg Hardy salt pictures, I'm a fashionista.
So you fit that in 130 characters?
No, that was what I read that on the website.
Okay.
Was that
And
the same
it
week?
makes a lot less sense a year later.
Yeah. Was that the same week where you wanted to ban workout pants from your students, and one of your students said, "Please, Mr. Dunn, don't ban workout pants from females"? Like
It was yoga pants. He said, "Don't ever criticize yoga pants." That's right.
Yeah,
Okay, here's the last one from what they were reporting, and we were saying a year ago. News last year, and this references to what Abby tweeted in the beginning of the show, and I did not mention it because I knew this was on the list later on. News at this time last year was that we dropped the ball and were unable to land Allen Ball, but we picked up Peanut Tillman before the draft. So we dropped the ball but picked up a peanut. And the question is that Abby asked earlier in the show, Mel, have you heard anything about Charles Tillman and a possible return to Carolina?
I've heard that he said if he's coming back at all, Carolina would be the only place he would do it. But considering he's the age that he is and he tore an ACL as late in the season as he did, there is no way that he's getting signed before training camp. If he's ready, the Panthers could look at picking him up mid-season if they have a need, but that would be about it.
Ain't happening, Captain.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, Abby
we're-
tweeted. I think she worries that Atlanta could pick up Greg Hardy. Sorry,
No,
that was out of nowhere.
just in my talkings with like some Atlanta fans, the guys who kind of do the same thing that we do, but
Yeah,
very in tune. They said there's no way management or ownership will take on somebody with the character question marks that Hardy has.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
because
don't, I don't think
Atlanta
they would
is
either.
a upstanding town.
Right.
Right.
They
They
have their own.
they wouldn't break any NFL rules or anything like that.
They're a bastion for civil rights and
Right.
liberty.
And pumping in music to their dome, so they're not going to do anything that will bring any more goat.
Right.
Okay, back to Peanut. Okay, give us your rundown. What do you think about Peanut coming back, Joe?
Well, he was a great player who came at a time when we really needed someone. It was wonderful to have him for the purposes of, kind of showing the young guys that we had how to do things, how to act, how to study film, how to practice, that kind of thing. But he's a year older. Like Mel said, most importantly, he tore his ACL so late in the season. And when you're his age, it's so much harder to come back from those type of injuries. Your body just doesn't heal the same way. So I can't imagine how desperate we would have to be to re-sign him. I like him. I think he would be one heck of a coach to bring back and add to the coaching staff. I think that would be a tremendous move by Ron Rivera. I don't know that Tillman's ready for that, but I just don't see him being able to contribute on the field in any manner.
Yeah, that's the sentiment that I'm seeing on Twitter, is that the questions are, could Tillman be an associate coach in some sort of capacity, maybe assistant to an assistant type coach, and I will say that, and I don't know, we don't get to see how much they actually help and how much but really it seemed early on that players responded to him, and that he could corral even a Josh Norman's personality. And that had been something that was a challenge to even the coaching staff a little bit. Is that you're looking at a guy that didn't want to be coached originally, or at least that's been reported, is that he wanted to do things his way, and then Ron Rivera and the coaching staff got upset because they didn't feel they could trust him to do things their way. Right. And it took, or we saw Josh Norman really blossom when he was in the presence of a guy that was kind of still a peer, but one that was established and respected enough to where he felt like, hey, he's seconding what these guys are saying. So I think that's a big plus. Trip, do you think that the Panthers would do something like this, or do you see him, it seems like he likes Charlotte. He seems to be very interested in the community. His charity fits in well with the Levine Children's Institute. What do you think about Tillman, Peanut, planting some roots here?
Yeah, I definitely think he loves the community and area around here, and teaming up with Thomas Davis, the other Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, was also big. I don't know. I'm not going to say he's ready to be an associate coach. I still think he wants to play. Unfortunately, unless they see something remarkable in his healing, I don't think we can afford to keep him.
I don't think he's going to want to come back either. I just really don't think so.
I would be really surprised. I mean, he's been in the league forever. He's taken a beating. The last 3 or 4 years, his seasons have all ended early for various injury reasons. I think it was 2.
But you know what? An assistant coach might, especially an assistant to an assistant type of level, might make $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when a vet minimum of like $900,000, he
Mhm.
might want to get back out there and play it a little bit. I remember Sam Mills. Wearing a shirt saying, like, what was it? It was some type of shirt that said, "I'm working for free" or "working for peanuts" or something like that. The first year he went from player to coach with us. It's a big drop. So that motivating factor, seeing the difference in the paychecks,
Mm-hmm.
he might want to give it a try. But if he does, it'll be late in the season as an add-on to a Super Bowl run.
Now that's not to say that's outside of the realm of possibility. Just because you know how loyal Rivera can be to players.
Yeah.
So to bring him in, right? To bring him in late to give him a shot at a ring, that'd be one thing. But I definitely don't see him starting off the season.
Right. Yeah. Not week one. No way.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I want to shed in the last 2 minutes of the show before we get to our ice up picks. I want to look outside of Carolina. Two stories caught my eye. One in getting ready for the draft. How about Brashard Perryman still not running fully for the Baltimore Ravens?
Dude,
talking about the number. He went the pick after the Carolina Panthers. He went number 26, I believe.
Yeah, and I wanted him. Yeah.
Tripp, I don't know if you remember, he's the jerk that caught the Hail Mary pass against.
Oh yeah, UCF.
Yeah, at the last second against the Pirates. What do you, Joey? When you hear a story like this, what's your initial feeling? A guy that comes into the league, #1 draft pick, hasn't played it down, and still doesn't look like he's ready.
It's tough. It's unfortunate. I'm not a huge Ravens fan. I do like Michael Campanaro, but you got to
respect Ozzie Newsome.
Right, and I definitely respect Ozzie. I remember when he played, he was one heck of a tight end, man. Really an outstanding player. And it's too bad. It's too bad that he's not been able to get over whatever physical ailment he's suffering from. And I can only hope that Perriman does eventually get there, because when these guys don't play, as fans of just football in general, not Panther fans, but just football, somebody's drafted high like that to come in with big expectations, and you never know who could be the next Randy Moss or the next Jerry Rice. You know what I'm saying? So it's a shame when these guys that get drafted high don't get a chance to show you what they got, so to speak.
All right. I wanted to ask Mel. Actually, I said I'm going to extend it to 3 stories because I feel like Mel wrote about this guy when he first joined the C3 family. It seems that the Dolphins claimed defensive back Ifo Epre-Olumu off of waivers. Was that a guy that we covered 2 years ago? I feel like the name Ifo
played at Oregon.
Yeah, we liked him. We liked him a lot. Yeah, he was out of Oregon, and he was a 2-time All-American. One hell of a cornerback, but he had a gruesome knee injury in a bowl game, I believe it was, late in the season in his senior year.
Yep.
He's not been the since. To get cut by the Browns. That kind of tells you.
But they have a decent secondary there.
That's true.
That's true. They got
Joe Hayden.
That's true. They got Joe Hayden.
And the guy from Oklahoma State.
That's true.
Drafted.
So, interesting. All right. Okay, last story of the night before the ice up picks, and I'll ask Tripp about this first, and then we'll turn to the old man next, because I know, surprisingly, the oldest man on this show. Is the oldest man on this show right here, is the best at Twitter. But it turns out Twitter won the rights to NFL's Thursday digital package. Tripp, what the hell does that mean, first of all?
It means they'll be streaming the Thursday night NFL games from what I've read.
On Twitter?
On Twitter.
On Twitter, like Periscope.
Would it? So it would be Periscope, or would it be the other one, which is Meerkat?
No, it's
No, it's gonna
it's
be
like
on
Periscope.
Twitter.
Yeah, it's gonna be Twitter's thing. It's not related to Periscope, but
Right.
you know, Twitter's
Thank
gotten
you.
into like the live stream feeds. This is their
So
next.
thank goodness this is I thought it was going to be play-by-play 130 characters at a time.
It's 140, old man.
100
And by the way, that was the very first joke. Game will be broadcast. If you look at the Twitter, like the announcement, the very first response is game will be broadcast in 140 character blocks. I think this is a fantastic move by the NFL.
I agree.
Now, it's a great move for the NFL because Twitter is the one who offered them the most money. Because
do you know how much they paid for it, though?
I don't know.
$10 million. $10 million.
Less than $10 million.
That's it. They got a deal.
Yeah,
$1
I think so.
game.
Here, I've been.
Twitter's like the
I was.
ultimate sports socials.
You're exactly right.
So,
You're
I mean,
exactly
it's no
right.
surprise.
Here is the thing, and this is why this is beautiful for Twitter, and this is why this is beautiful for the NFL. And I didn't really think about this, as I got one buddy that he shares our he doesn't like football, but he supports us because he's a friend of mine. But he's into digital media. He works in an ad agency and stuff, and he always has great insight. He's always steered me the right direction. One of the best moves he ever suggested was our move with our website where we went, and that really helped things. And he said, and I said to him, I said, look, I'm struggling with all the social media, keeping up with all the platforms. I mean, there's so many. Mm-hmm. And I said, we just love Twitter. We tend to gravitate towards Twitter. He said, because it fits your model, because you follow a live sport, and Twitter is about. That's what it does. Is that it?
Second.
Yeah. It is about instant interaction. So I think this is a fantastic move for the NFL. I think it's a great move for Twitter. And I wonder what they can parlay this into. Do you parlay this into? Is this the move that finally, for cord cutters, gets the one thing that keeps us on cable, the one thing that keeps us on DirecTV is sports.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you this. I think one of the best things, and I don't think you could do it last year, but that NCAA March Madness app, I could go anywhere I wanted to and pull up every game throughout the whole tournament on my phone and stream it live. And it was the sweetest thing to do. If I could do that with NFL on the go, that would
but
be.
It's only Thursdays
right.
About.
I'm just saying we were talking about parlaying into bigger things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that would be something crazy to think of. You know, if you could pull up every Sunday game on your phone from one format, that would just be.
I think that's where it's heading, man. Eventually.
Yeah, I like it. I want to cord cutter. All right, it is time to get on out of here. As you noticed, I told everybody to silence their notifications before the show, but my mini iPad is just blowing up because I don't know how to silence the notifications on it.
Old man.
Old man. I shouldn't have said that since they're picking on me about it.
About shaking your head?
Yeah, it's time for the Ice Up Picks of the Week. I'm going to open it up with Mel Mayock. Mel Mayock, I know you're ready for your Ice Up Pick of the Week.
I am. You got my picture there?
I got it.
All right. I'll just keep this short and sweet. Mr. Geraldo Rivera. One of my biggest irritants in my life is somebody who tries to jump in on a conversation and act like they know what they're talking about when they're so far out of their field of expertise. It just kind of drives me crazy. And I'm not really sure Geraldo has a big field of expertise. But did you see the tweet he sent out last night, guys?
Mm-mm.
He says...
Did he get... Okay.
Geraldo says, the hashtag Carolina Panthers did not lose the NCAA championship last night. Villanova won it.
What an idiot.
Man.
Oh.
What?
Did he really do that?
Yeah, that's his tweet. You
God.
pull it up.
Oh.
Oh. So, I mean, exactly. So that low-hanging fruit, I don't even have to say anymore.
No.
Gerald,
Oh, man. I feel sorry for him.
He's as dumb as the day is long.
All right, here's the thing is that first of all, because I'm 70 years old and I can remember way back, we have to remember that Geraldo Rivera's very first claim to fame was as a shock afternoon talk show host.
He was Jerry Springer. Yeah.
He paved the way for Maury. I would say he was.
Remember when he got his nose broke?
I was going to say that. By the biker gang and got a chair to the face. Then the next famous moment. So that was his first famous moment. His second famous moment was when he got axed from like one of the NBC or at Fox or somebody when he was in Desert Storm, I believe. Yeah. And he was out there tracing troop locations in the sand, and he was like, "We're outside of this," and they're like live broadcasting, and then the whole world, or at least the United States, went crazy.
I think that was the first time ever SMDH was used.
Yeah. What does that mean? Shmada. What does that mean? But it's Arabic. So here's the thing: is the idea though was, and I felt a little bad for him right here, is that like the Iraqis were watching CNN for updates on the troop movements, but think about what you can do today. You know what I'm saying? Is Geraldo Rivera could tweet out that the Carolina Panthers lost the national championship and ruin the whole world. To him,
ice up.
Tell him ice up. All right, Joe, do you got an ice up pick for us?
I do. Mine's pretty crazy. This just shows you the degradation of America, and this is just a small part of what's wrong with our society today. Alwyn Dargan. He's only 24 years old. He's a father. I guess he's not working or had the day off or something. But he was feeling, well, honestly, he felt like joshing off. So he leaves his house and he goes to Sin's Gentlemen's Club in North Hills, California. No big deal, right? He's old enough, he can get in. So he's in there getting a lap dance. Well, the club manager and a stripper go outside to smoke a cigarette for 15 minutes. And
that's a long cigarette. That's a 100. That's a 200.
That's a menthol.
Well, while they were out there, they hear this screaming. So they go to Mr. Dargan's car, and lo and behold, is his 9-month-old daughter in the car as he's inside getting a lap dance. His 9-month-old daughter sitting in the car.
Oh, come on.
So anyway, they called the police. Police showed up. He was arrested.
And they found out that the mother worked there.
Right. No, they arrested him, took him to jail, and to say the least, the baby was scared. He was charged with, child endangerment and a couple of other things, but that just goes to show you where the state of parenting is in some places right now. And to Mr. Dargan, I want to give him a very cold and frigid ice up, son. And think about your kids next time, no matter how much you want to go josh off.
God, I mean, that's
terrible, is it not? It is terrible.
And as a Catholic, I'm not supposed to say stuff like this.
But that's never stopped you before.
But this makes you wonder at times if certain people should not be allowed
To have children.
I know. And that's a terrible thing, especially in North Carolina. We just went through a settlement through things that in the past, the eugenics scandal and things like that. But geez, I love my little babies, man. I love a little baby. Man.
Yeah.
I agree.
And hey, and I love a strip club too. But I tell you one thing, I ain't gonna leave a baby in the car to go to the strip club. I mean, at least drop them mugs off at play date.
It ain't shake and bake. You don't mix the two.
Gosh. All right. Trip. That's how you got the baby. Is going to the strip club too much.
Oh.
Mama got to work. Trip. You got an ice up pick for us this week?
I didn't even think. I completely forgot about this part before I came on the show.
All
right. But
Party foul. Party foul.
right. One of the biggest parts. I want to ice up. I'll throw one out there though. I'm gonna ice up politics in the world and political correctness right now.
There you go.
Charlotte just lost the PayPal deal, and 400 jobs being brought to the city for a corporate center for PayPal, and that's a huge loss to the city over this whole act that's going on. And we don't have to get into all that, but I just think it's, I've been back and forth on a long time, but it's just getting ridiculous. I mean, it's led to this presidential race, and who in the hell does anybody really want to vote for? So right now,
Tony Dunn. Tony Dunn.
Dave Gettleman.
Yeah. So that's ice up politicians, I guess.
All right.
You're out of order. No. You're out of order. This whole court is out of order.
I agree. Is that it's crazy? Is that I'm not in support of any of the type of stuff. To be honest, is I think that you're making laws just to make laws. But I will say this: is that it seems like. I get mad. You remember how mad we got with the NFL when they just went hard on domestic violence just because they got in trouble for it? Mm-hmm. You gotta wonder at some point, are you just doing these things for publicity when you take the anti-stand against them? But everybody support PayPal because I have stock in them. And that's my note. So if you don't use PayPal, I suck.
So wait a minute. I hate to interrupt you, but I have to. Let's get this straight. You got 2 houses, taking a trip to Paris. You've got an iPad Mini, and now what was this last thing?
I have a small amount of stock in PayPal. That I lost money on because I bought it on the IPO day and I thought that it was going to do well and it stunk. So I've lost money on it.
He's now known as Big Money Tony.
Yeah, no, not at all. Big bills. Big bills.
Big bills.
Coming from the Fat Cat Studio. My ice up pick of the week is I thought about this. I don't have a good one. And so I was going to ice up myself for using this iPad Mini because I'm like an anti-Apple dude.
You are an anti-Apple person, for sure.
I know. I should have just sold it, but I won an iPad Mini in a contest at work, which was kind of cool.
Well, here you go. Fans of the C3 podcast, if you're thinking that Tony should give away the iPad Mini through some C3 contest, please tweet him.
I've already hooked my iTunes account to it.
Maybe on draft night, buddy.
All right, you guys got to donate a little bit more to this show before I start giving away a damn iPad Mini. All right. I'm going to say my ice up pick goes to electricians. What? To electricians? Because I sold my house and we got the house inspection and this and that, and you're an electrician?
Yeah, you're icing me up.
Ice up. Ice up.
I'm just joking.
The idea is, so I get my old house, we get this inspection. We had moved out. Here's my advice to you: if you get your inspection before you move out, because they don't test a lot of things if furniture's in the way. But when furniture's out of the way, they test more stuff. So they tested all the outlets in the house to make sure they work. And in my daughter's room, there's these two outlets, and they're 18 inches apart, stud to stud. Why do you put two outlets side by side and one of them doesn't work? Well, the answer is, if you're wondering, when you look at the room and you say, why the hell are there two outlets 18 inches apart? That the jerks that were joshing off when they did my electrical work, when they built my old house in the beginning, I guess they put it on the wrong stud or something, and so they put the outlet one stud over, but instead of like closing it and just putting like a cap on it or even repairing the drywall, they just put an electrical outlet in there that is not hooked up.
It's just an outlet that looks like an outlet, but there's no juice to it. Oh my God.
Nothing. So it comes up on the inspection report. I get the electrician out there to fix it, and he goes, there's no wires hooked up to it. I guess they just, and so here's the thing, is I got to get a letter written that says that this outlet is not broken, is not hooked up, and that a faceplate is fine. But this lazy ass has cost me some serious coin, like that I could have been paying for this iPad Mini that I won with.
Jesus.
Anyway, here's to your lazy asses, folks. Stop being lazy. Get off your ass, and when you make a mistake, fix it. That goes to you, Greg Hardy. That goes to you, electricians around the world. Ice up, son.
Rivera. Yeah.
Geraldo. All right, Trip, tell them one more time how they can get after you as we jump out of the C3 podcast for the night.
You can follow me at TripMorgan6, TripMorgan6. That's on Twitter. Also, I want to give a shout out. Y'all go follow Roaring Right at Roaring Right. They got some design competitions for their T-shirt going on right now. You can vote on all that stuff. Got the schedule release coming up on the 21st of this month, I believe, and they'll be releasing all kinds of different stuff as far as their away game trips and stuff, and parties with us in the C3. So be sure to check that out as well.
Mel Mayock, our friend, our brother, our pal from the place of sin, Las Vegas. Tell them how they can follow your work.
Just trying to bring a little goodness out here to Sin City, man. But you catch me anytime at Panthers Drafter, talking Panthers football 24/7. And hey, I also got weekly mock drafts coming out through Draft Tech. I'm the Draft Tech Panthers analyst. New one coming out tomorrow, or actually coming out Thursday. Check it out. And I want to promote the C3 Draft Party. This will be our 3rd annual draft party coming up this year. It's going to be off the hook. Stay in touch. Come on the show. Tweet us. Talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun.
It will. You'll get to watch Tony get drunk as we wait. Imagine this, Joey. Do you remember how much fun I have in all of these? I have fun every year. I bring the cooler out. Now we got to wait 7 more picks than we did last year. How many more beers is that?
Oh, my God.
Joey, Riolano, tell them how they can get after you, brother.
You can find me on Twitter, guys. It's at Joe Riolano, the freaking Puerto Rican. Yes, the draft party is going to be a really good time. We got some things coming up. that you'll definitely be interested in. So keep coming back to the site, CarolinaCatChronicles.com is the place to be for all your Panthers fan news and takes.
This is the C3. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I'm
Trip.
gonna change my Twitter handle to @JoshAndOff.
Just enough. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. You can check us out every Tuesday night, 10 p.m., talking Carolina Panthers from the fan perspective. Don't go and Josh off. Go and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Share us, and do that in private, folks. But you know when you're talking about the Carolina Panthers, you don't do it in private. You get on the internet and you yell and scream with the best show on the internet, the C3 podcast. We'll see you next week.